and this is my pro-con speech. As a student in high school, I am aware of some of the things students in my school are doing when they go out late at night. As an example, the other night there was a party a few blocks down my house, and a few kids in my class got minors because their parents were unaware of where they were and what they were doing and who they were surrounded with. I believe that curfews promote safety, responsibility, and time management skills. Some things I have to back up my idea here is with the responsibility. Curfews allow students to set responsibilities for themselves, and it teaches them what's good for them and what's not. I think that curfews are very valuable lessons for students, and especially for younger students who are more involved and changed by other people's opinions. So, from Sedona Sky Academy, they say that curfews help with a student's responsibility by encouraging them to create plans that will work for themselves so they can make their time worth it, along with them also encouraging them to stay accountable. Accountability is a really big thing for me. If I can't trust somebody to do something simple as to tell me where they're at or what they're doing, I kind of get weary, but that's a personal factor for myself. Another piece of responsibility is about how they teach lessons and for students to pick their experiences wisely. Kind of building off of the same piece I just had, but according to one of the sources that I have, is are curfews effective when keeping teens out of trouble? Not always. Not always. Example given from the beginning, what I stated. For one of the sources that I found, it states that curfews can create values within teens and teach them what they had done and what they should and shouldn't participate in, and gain if it's worth his or her time. They can also create a higher level of awareness for themselves. If a student realizes they're in an uncomfortable situation and realize my curfew's almost up, I only have 5 more minutes, I can go home after this, or oh, I'm close to my curfew time, I can just tell them I'm gonna go. And so they don't have to be stuck there in that position. Now, if you don't have a curfew, you don't have to do that either, but you're more likely to if you don't. Because, oh, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. It's not. There's always a possibility for something to go wrong. And that's something that weighs heavy on my mind. But on to my next point, they help students stay safe. Safety is another big thing for me. I truly believe that we should be trying to keep our children and our students in general safe, no matter what the situation. They provide security for them. According to Parents Universal Resources on why teens need curfews, it states that having a curfew provides safety for your teen because there are people out there that are unpredictable. There are drunk drivers that are out there, and you can't trust them to keep your child safe. And it can protect them from unsafe or unwanted situations. Speaking on the drunk driving part, there was a gal kind of in our area who was hit by a drunk driver a few years ago. And it was very detrimental to her family because they didn't know where she was at or who she was with because they didn't set curfews for her. I think being in situations like that is rather dangerous and nerve-wracking for a parent, so I can see why curfews are set. Another reason as to why they help sustain security is um, letting the student decide what is valuable for his or her future. If they want to go out and party and drink and participate in various activities, that is up to them. But knowing that you have a curfew can help you decide not to do them, not to participate in those activities vastly. It installs the responsibility, like I stated earlier. But moving on, because I was getting repetitive, one more piece I have is about time management skills. I myself have slight time management issues, but I have noticed a change in it from when I was younger and had a earlier curfew to now when I have a later curfew. Some reasons for curfews that help with time management skills are Setting a curfew teaches teens on how to manage their time and plan ahead. If a student really wants to go do something, they should be able to get everything else done in their lives that needs to be taken care of if they want to go do it. Life gets busy, life gets messy, and I understand that. But I think that you should be able to manage everything if you will truly want to go do something. And along with that, it's with curfews, teens have to take into account how far their destination is, how long they can stay there, and how long it will take them to get back home. It's a great skill that will certainly come in handy as they reach adulthood and have to keep track of their schedules, manage traffic, and be on time for class appointments and their own jobs. Like I said in your speech, a lot of students do have jobs in high school. It's normal anymore, but I feel like having a job and wanting to go out and do things also helps with time management skills along with the curfew. One more thing from another source I found from are curfews effective when keeping teens out of trouble? It says, according to the site, it states that curfews can create values within teens and teach them what they should and shouldn't participate in and gain if it's worth his or her time. They can also create a higher level of awareness for them. I feel that very strongly. A lot of kids in my class lack self-awareness. For an example, they aren't aware of anything going on around them, and it's worrisome because some of those kids are the ones that ended up getting minors a few weeks ago. So, in turn, I believe that curfews are a good thing to have for young students. And as a student in high school, it may be crazy to hear from me, but I think that it installs security responsibility and very well time management skills. Are there any questions?
Yep, I have a couple questions for you.
Uh-oh.
So, when you were talking about responsibilities, the good and the bad, and accountability and the lessons, um, you said you think that there's always something going to go wrong in the end. So why do you think something's always going to go wrong in the end when choosing like your lessons? Like, why do you think it's going to go wrong?
If like you let your if I let like my future kid go out and do something with their curfew time, is that what you're stating? Like if
Yeah,
something goes wrong?
yeah.
And I just always have this feeling of something bad is going to happen. I am that person that always brings up, "Oh, what if this happens? What if this happens?" Because there's always a possibility and you can't trust everybody that you're around. And I will not be the person that controls who my kids are around and who they can't be around. That is not the parent I will be, but I will be a little bit strict on some curfews depending on where they are going. But the people they're
So
around is the choice.
so with having, let's say, an earlier curfew, you think that's going to minimize the bad things that are going to happen in their life in high school?
No, not a chance. Bad things happen all the time. You could be out till 10 o'clock at night and you see things happening all the time. It doesn't necessarily protect them 100%, but lessens the chances of something drastic happening, I feel.
Okay. Another question I have, when you were talking about on your second point with safety and security, you mentioned, let's say your parents didn't know where he or she was or who they were with. With that, can't having a good relationship with your parents and an open relationship with your parents help with that and diminish the
Yes,
consequences?
yes, and no. You see a lot of kids nowadays not having that relationship with their parents. And I feel like kids with relationships would have a better chance at being able to have that conversation if something did happen. But 9 times out of 10, you don't see students with good parental relationships. And that's sad to see, yes, but it kind of burns on both ends there.
Not wrong.
It's
um,
sad, yes, but it's true.
um, next question is, did you mention you had a curfew?
I did, yes, when I was younger.
You don't have one now, correct?
I do, but it's a little later. It's like 12:31.
Okay, so then with that, um, what are the, what do you see, let's say, since you have them, since you had it earlier and now, what do you see as a benefit of having a later curfew since you are older now?
A lot of my friends and I, we all have jobs. We're working till like 10:30 at night, which is it's not super late, but if you want to do something in town, it does get pretty late. So I feel like a benefit that I have seen personally is being able to actually spend time with my friends and actually like have a nice conversation with them because a lot of the times now, at least in my town, everybody's in sports or dealing with their own family issues or constantly busy. So it's hard to actually get a hold of the people you're close to because of personal conflicts within their own lives. And I feel like a later curfew has definitely helped with that, being able to actually talk to somebody and having a conversation or getting a
Gotcha.
group of people together.
Gotcha. With your curfew, do you see any major setbacks?
I guess I wouldn't call them setbacks, but there are times, like I said, when you have a big group of people together and you're all just genuinely just having a good time and hanging out. I am that kid that has to go like, "Hey guys, sorry. I have to go home. Like I have stuff to do in the morning." And they're like, "Oh, come on, stay out, stay out." So I mean, there is a little bit of not guilt, but there's this little voice in the back of my mind that's, "Oh, if you stayed out a little later, it'd be fine. It'd be fine." But I do make myself go home because I am a kid with a really good relationship with her parents and I don't want to ruin that. So it's accountability on myself and responsibility with my parents.
All right. Well, I think that's all I got.
Alrighty, thank you.
Yep.